We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dakshinamurthy Stotram is a very powerful text in Advaita Vedanta, conveying the highest knowledge of Paramatma Tattva. Ishvara Tattvam, Paramatma Tattvam is conveyed in these 10 beautiful verses. We have seen 5 verses so far. We have started the 6th verse last week. And in the 6th verse, what we are seeing is how this real nature of ours is hidden from us. This is what Shankaracharya wants to convey through this verse. And he is saying that this can be understood well when we see the natural phenomena of eclipse in this world. Rahu grasta divakarendu sadrishaha Maya samachadanat sanmatra karnopasanharanate yo bhuta sushupta puman pragaswam samiti prabodha samaye yapratyabhignayate tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. The 3 states of consciousness which we all experience is analyzed in this verse. And many a times we don't give too much importance to the sleep state. In Vedanta, the sleep state takes a very, very important role in revealing the nature of the jiva. Very, very important role. In many Upanishads, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a full chapter, full section devoted to the sleep state. Chandogya Upanishad analyzes it. Prashno Upanishad analyzes the sleep state. For those who have covered these 3 Upanishads with me, you will remember all the discussions we have had before. And Mandukya Upanishad is a masterpiece in analyzing the 3 states. In very advanced texts of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, especially Vichara Sagara, which I keep quoting again and again, this sleep state is very, very deeply analyzed. I can't explain to you how deep the analysis can be and how deep this analysis is of the waking state also. And in Vichara Sagara, there's one full chapter, the 6th chapter, devotes to the question of a student who says, how can you say the dream state and the waking state are similar in nature? And then the Guru explains in that text very, very deeply that if you analyze both the states, you will find a lot of similarity. And then this analysis leads you to discovering your own nature as the pure Atma. Many a times, logic is used, Tarka Shastra, to explain to the human intellect the reasoning behind the self. How do I understand? Many a times we listen to Bhagavad Gita, many times we listen to the Upanishads, and there we are told that our nature is pure consciousness. When we listen to it first time, it doesn't strike us at all. What is this consciousness? What is this pure existence? It doesn't, for a beginner of Vedantic student, these two concepts of Sat and Chit are mind-boggling. It doesn't hit, it doesn't go through the mind, the intellect gets stunned. It is not able to penetrate the intellect at all. And this is where a teacher uses logic, the methodology of reasoning, to break that barrier of the intellect, because it is not, unless until you're able to break the intellect, notions in the intellect, you will not be able to reach the self and understand the nature of that self. So in this 6th verse, the Shankaracharya uses the eclipse. And he says, just like during the solar eclipse, the sun gets covered. During the lunar eclipse, the moon gets covered. And then we do not see the nature of the sun, which is so bright during the day, it gets covered. Similarly, the moon gets covered. Now, this is the example. Now, what happens in our own state of consciousness, on our own experiences? What Shankaracharya says is, during sleep, the Upanishads state that we are one with ourself. We are one with our nature, which is pure existence, pure consciousness. But we do not know that. That knowledge that I am that is covered. Exactly like the covering of the sun or the moon, the knowledge about myself, the knowledge of who I am is covered. That covering is called as Akyanam. In Sanskrit, it is called as Akyanam. And there are several names to it. It is also called as Karana Shariram. It is also called as Avidya. It's also called as Mula Avidya. So many names are given to the same ignorance. In Mandukya, it is described as non-apprehension of the reality, which is the self. So these are all just the names, but each one of us knows what is the sleep state. We all experience it, very, very natural. And what Shankaracharya remembers about the sleep state and the waking state, he says, on waking up, I say that I slept well, I had a good rest. Who was this I which slept? Who was the I which was a witness to the resting mind? So the one which is the waker is the same as the sleeper, which means it is the ahamkara I, the ego I, is going through three different states: the waking, the dream, and the sleep. And behind the ego, there is a witness to the ego, which is called as Sakshi. Sakshi I never sleeps. It's always present, always conscious. The nature of Sakshi I is knowledge. What type of knowledge? Pure knowledge, in which there is nothing else except itself. Who illumines that pure knowledge? It is self-evident. It is self-evident as I, the pure consciousness. So, in sleep, two things are there. The sleeper, the I, is the ego I. The mind with the reflection of that consciousness has gone to sleep. The definition of jiva is mind plus reflected consciousness. So that is the entity which has gone to sleep. Behind this entity, there is a witnessing principle or the illumining principle or the life principle behind the jiva. That is called as Brahman. That is called as pure consciousness. That is called as Paramatma. You can call it by any name, but that is what is being revealed here by Shankaracharya. And he says that the inner presence in me, which reveals that consciousness nature of this Sakshi, that revealer is none other than Lord Dakshinamurthy. He is my Guru. We celebrate Shivratri tomorrow. It is the same Dakshinamurthy which we are praying to in our study today. It is that for each one of us, for you, when you get this knowledge about your own nature, that revelation is done by the same Dakshinamurthy, the same Lord Shiva, who is present in all of us. We normally take this body as ourself, but behind the body is hidden. Our senses cannot perceive this Lord Shiva in us. And he is the one who wakes us up to this knowledge of our real nature. So when my intellect comes to know or realizes that its nature is not the ego I, which moves between the three states, waking, dream, and sleep, waking, dream, and sleep. It's a continuous cycle, a natural cycle in the order of creation. Nobody can stop this. This is the order. This is the Ishvara. When you see the whole universe, when you see your own body and your own mind and your own three states, the way we should understand is this is Ishvara. This is the creation. This is what is the ultimate reality. But it has another nature. That nature is Nirguna Swarupa. That is what we call it as Sat Chit Ananda. Pure existence, pure being. This nature of mind is what is being revealed in this particular mantra. And Bhagavad Gita also talks about the same. And this is what is revelation in all the Upanishads. And what we are seeing is, like the sun gets covered, this pure being gets covered. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 16 says, Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Ubhayoropi drishtontas tvanayos tattva darshivihi. The unreal has no being. That's what I'm just trying to correlate this verse, trying to bring out the essence of this verse, how it reveals the pure being. This verse is the same what is getting revealed in the Bhagavad Gita, the 2nd chapter, the 16th verse. This 16th verse is one of the tricky verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Normally, it is not understood by people when they read it first time. One of the trickiest verses. There are 4 verses in the Bhagavad Gita which are tricky verses. This is the first verse among the tricky verses. What it says is the unreal has no being. I'm just explaining that verse, Bhagavad Gita verse now. Unreal means this ego I. Ego I has no being. Without the Sakshi I, there is no being. That pure being is the real being. Our real state when we are beyond our sleep state. Through these scriptures, what we understand, what we do is that ignorance which is covering the sleep state, we try to remove it. In the waking state, we try to understand the sleep state, understand that nature of ours. And what about that pure being? The Bhagavad Gita says, there is no non-being. Na bhavo vidyate sataha. There is no non-being for the real. That means the beingness, which is our real nature, continues without a break in all the 3 states. So the way we understand is there is one portion of mind which is not changing. If you ask anybody, have you changed from when you are 10-year-old and 20-year-old and 30-year-old? If you ask anybody, he will say, I have not changed. What has changed is my body. The cells in my body has changed. It has grown, it has weakened, the cells have changed. The body has changed. The matter principle has changed. But the being, I am, that has not changed. Since morning to evening, if I ask you, have you changed from morning 8 o'clock till evening, say 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock Indian time or 6 o'clock Singapore time? Have you changed? No. I have experienced the thoughts in my mind which are fluctuating. I've experienced this body which has got all physiological functions. The prana is going on, the digestion is going on in the body, and so on. But there is a consciousness factor. I am. That is what is getting revealed. That is the covering. What is covered is the ignorance of that pure being. And Bhagavad Gita says, a wise man who sees the truth of the ego I and the truth of the Sakshi I, they are the real seers of the reality which is there in this universe. The reality is always there, but the jivas are not aware of that reality. And here, very beautifully, when we go through the other slides, you will see who is the person who is aware that this body mind is sleeping. That is the real I. That is what is being revealed in this particular 6th verse. We have seen all these verses up to slide number 88. I said last week, I will just go through the meaning of the sentences of this verse. Rahu grasta divakar indu sadrushaha puman. Divakara means sun. Like the sun which gets covered due to Rahu Griha. See, what happens is the sun gets covered, the moon gets covered, which is, we call it as an eclipse. When the covering happens, we feel that the sun is non-existent. Suddenly we'll find little children, when the sun gets covered, what happened to the sun? It's got swallowed. There's no sun. That's what a child feels. There's no more sun. Are we going to see the sun tomorrow? After the eclipse is over, the sun comes out again. So similarly, our own nature, the pure consciousness, the pure being, gets covered in our sleep state. And who is the guru who reveals this? That guru who reveals my nature to me is this Dakshinamurthy. It is the words of the scriptures which reveal, and the words are whose words? It is the Parama Guru. Lord Shiva is supposed to be the Parama Guru because he is the Adi Guru. The first Guru of this entire Vedantic revelation. How this creation comes about, how the creation resolves, that is all hidden. The secrets are hidden in the Bhagavad Gita. The secrets are hidden in this type of verses. Samanya Satta and Visesha Satta. These are two technical terms which are used. Satta means existence. And two types of existences are there. When we are in Jagrat and Swapna, that means in waking and in sleep, what we have is called as attributed existence. Attributed means what? This pure being, which is the consciousness, it gets reflected in this body. And we think that this body is real. When the reflection happens in this body, when this body gets revealed, we call it as attributed existence. Visesha Satta. Viseshana means the attributes of the body. The body is short, the body is big, the body is got old, it's a 10-year-old body, it's a 50-year-old body, it's an 80-year-old body. These are all Viseshana. The seer of this body is this consciousness. You see a body of 50 years. I see a body of 60 years. You see a child sees a body of 10 years, 5 years. The seer is the same in all of us. There is only one consciousness. So in Jagrat and Swapna, it is attributed I. In Sushupti, in sleep state, it is attributeless I. Attributeless I means that pure Sakshi, nobody will know that I am in my real nature. I myself don't know that that is my nature. That is why it is called as Sushupti. Rahu means Chaya, shadow. Eclipse is caused by shadow, in my case also. But who is the creator of this eclipse in me? In me, the ego, I. When I say me here, you can either take it as the Sakshi I, or you can take it as the ego I, the higher I or the lower I. Maya Samachadanat. There is a Shakti in that pure Sakshi, there is a Shakti. That Shakti is called as Maya. That Shakti covers the nature of the pure being. When it covers the nature of that pure being, it is called as Avarna Shakti. We have seen these concepts before. There are two, whenever we talk about Maya means Shakti. It's a power. We all have the power to go to sleep. That is called as Nidra Shakti. Similar to the Nidra Shakti, there is a Maya Shakti which is with Ishvara. He covers the nature, his real nature, and he projects this entire waking state for all the jivas to experience the karma phala. So during sleep, what happens? The Vikshepa Shakti is swallowed by the Avarna Shakti. The Avarna Shakti is responsible for the eclipsing of the self. So in the sleep state, the Avarna Shakti's dominance is there. And the Vikshepa Shakti, here we are all talking about that Ishvara Shakti. Ishvara Shakti, Ishvara has got Maya as his power to create this whole universe. We are understanding the power of Ishvara, the power of the Lord. You see, whenever we are looking at creation, this is how Vedanta and the scriptures, the Upanishads, they try to reveal the nature of this creation, the nature of reality. There is one reality. There is only one ultimate entity in this universe, which we can call it as Sat Chit Ananda. In Taittiriya Upanishad, that's what it says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. In Chandogya Upanishad, it says, Sadeva Saumya Idam Agre Asit. That Sat was alone present in the beginning, before creation. So how do we understand the Vikshepa Shakti of the Lord, who is got this pure power in him, that is withdrawn? The organs, when that Vikshepa Shakti is withdrawn, the organs become inactive. That means what? The smelling power, the seeing power of the individual body, they are withdrawn. When the smelling, the seeing, the hearing capacity is withdrawn, the moment you go to sleep, what happens? You don't hear your mobile ringing. In the sense, you don't hear, suppose you put it in a very, very slow mode of volume. You won't hear. That means your hearing capacity is dimmed. But suppose you hear the alarm, which is a loud sound, that can wake you up. But generally speaking, what happens is seeing capacity, hearing capacity, they're all dimmed. They all are withdrawn into the mind. Puman means jiva. Sanmatra means the removal of the attributes. Sanmatra karana. That means all the attributes of the sense organs are withdrawn. And what remains is the Kevalam, the pure Sakshi alone remains in the sleep state. I was talking to you about Visesha Satta and Samanya Satta. Samanya means non-prominent. That means when we are in the sleep state, we are with our Samanya Satta. When we are in the waking state, we are in the Visesha Satta. Visesha Satta means attributed existence. With the body and the mind, we see the world. That is called as Visesha Satta, prominent. I see the reflection of the light in my hand like the same light which gets reflected in the moon. Sat is Abhasa, Chit is Abhasa. Abhasa means qualified existence. So Visesha Satta means whenever I am in the waking state, it is a superimposition. Abhasa means superimposition on that Sat and Chit. On Sat and Chit, which is my real nature, existence and pure consciousness, which is my real nature, on that I superimpose the body, the qualities of the body, the age of the body, the physiological functions of the body, the prana in the body, all this I superimpose, and then I say, I am so and so. But what Lord Dakshinamurthy is teaching us is there is a Samanya Satta, which is that pure light, which we saw in the previous verse, Nana Chit Khato Darastitamaha Deepak Prabhavaswaram. Very beautiful verse. That's the best verse in the entire 10 verses of the Dakshinamurthy Stotram. That is the central verse which reveals the nature of this pure Chaitanya, the light of all the lights. That is our goal. That is where we are all heading. If our intellect, through the study of scriptures, can get a glimpse of that light of all lights through understanding, then that is called as moksha. That is called as liberation from the bondage of the ego I in this body. The ego I will never realize on its own. The only thing which can reveal that nature of that pure consciousness, the pure being, is the words of the scriptures, be it Bhagavad Gita, be it Upanishads, or be it Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Sanmatra means non-transacting I, pure I, attributeless existence, consciousness, which we call it as Satchit. The mind also is resolved in the sleep state. So therefore, what happens in the sleep state? The mind is resolved. There are no agitations. All our worries which are there in the waking state are in a resolved condition. The resolved condition is called as unmanifest condition. And this unmanifest condition is also called as Karana Shariram. Through this, only when we understand this Karana Shariram and we drop our identification with this sleep state as myself, then we can claim our nature as this pure being. I am that pure being. I am that pure Sat. Without that Sat, there is no existence of this ego I at all. Existence, whenever I say I am, it refers to that pure being. That pure being is the ultimate adhishthanam, the substratum for this time and space also. We all experience time and space. I was born on so-and-so date. I am here today. I'm 50 years, 30 years, 40 years old, so-and-so. This time and space is an object of consciousness. Like you have the body as an object, for consciousness, the time itself, that feeling, the nature of time. Time rises from that conscious being, it resolves into that conscious being. Many people may ask, what is the proof of presence of this existence or this pure being in sleep? How do you prove this pure existence is my true nature in sleep? This is a normal question. simple. If you tell a person that you are what you are in your pure state, that is your real state, and this entire waking state experiences is a temporary incidental phenomena. If you tell this to any layman, he will laugh at you. But only when you go through the scriptures in detail and the intellect understands the depth of the revelation of the three states, then only you will understand the meaning of this Samanya Satta. This is where the Madhyamika Buddhism, in the Buddhism there are four schools of thought. And in one of the schools of thought, one of the philosophers, they believed that the world is nothing but non-existence. When we go to sleep, the contention is everything has gone to resolved condition. So there is nothing existing in sleep. Neither the subject is available, neither the object is available. I is resolved, the ego I is resolved. That when the ego I is resolved, what happens to the whole universe which we are experiencing in the Jagrata Avastha? The entire field of experience, the Kshetram, is resolved. So what happens to gold? It needs, when the pure gold needs to be made into a chain, we add copper. We add something to pure gold so that it becomes pliable. A gold chain is 99, 97, 98% pure, but the balance is all copper because that helps it to become a chain or a bangle or a ring. That pure gold is what is called as Samanya Satta. Pure being is what is called as Samanya Satta. The Visesha Satta is the attributed existence, which is what is experienced in our dream and also in our waking state. Normally, we use three pramanams, three sources of knowledge to arrive at a conclusion, an intellectual conclusion. When we study the scriptures tell us, use three sources. One is called as Shruti. Shruti means either the Bhagavad Gita, Shruti refers mainly to the Upanishads. Smriti is the Bhagavad Gita. Smriti can be the other scriptures also. Bhagavatam, Itihasa, Puranas, these are all the other Smritis. So the Shruti means the words coming from the Upanishads. Whatever the Upanishads say, that is called as the original Shruti. What has been heard by the Rishis. And whatever has been heard by the Rishis, they are documented it in the form of Upanishads, in the form of Veda. Then another source of knowledge, these are all the three sources to arrive at the reality. So the Shruti is one, Yukti is reasoning. So we use the intellectual reasoning also to confirm whatever we have heard in the Shruti, we try to reason it out. That is why I said in Vichara Sagara, there is one full chapter, almost 150, 200 verses, topics are there where reasoning is used to say that this is the self and this is the non-self. This is Atma, this is Anatma. Why Atma is called as Atma? Because of independent existence. Why Anatma is called as Anatma? Because it is dependently existent. That is what this is the nature of reasoning. Then, of course, Anubhava. Anubhava means you see your own experience. Aren't you there in sleep? Yes, I am there. Who am I in my sleep? I am this pure Satchid Ananda. What happens in sleep? My mind gets resolved. When the mind gets resolved, what happens to the world? The world gets resolved. All the experiences which my sense organs are perceiving. What is the world actually? The world is nothing else but the experiences of the five sense organs and with the five sense objects. That is what we call it as Jagat. For all of us, for all the people, this is what is the world. Whatever each human being is experiencing through the sense organs. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita, very clearly, Lord Krishna says that it is the indriyas which are interacting with the sense objects. When they are interacting, it is only Prakriti. It is the matter principle. It is the Anatma principle, which is in which all actions are going on. And what is that Sakshi? The Sakshi is the pure nature. It never changes. The body is talking. The body is listening to this talk. These are all actions, modifications in Prakriti. But Anubhava is what? I am not changing. The talk will go on for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, it will end. It is the nature of Prakriti. It is the matter. But what is the pure I which is listening, which is the power behind, because of which the ears are listening? The ears are called as ears only because of this consciousness. That's what Bharadanika Upanishad reveals. Otherwise, it is pure matter. Body is nothing else, just matter principle, the 5 elements. But what is making the 5 elements livable, experienceable, is this consciousness. Sanmatra. Nana chit ghatodharastitamaha. Light of all lights. That is the nature of consciousness. So when we use Shruti Pramanam here, first Shankaracharya says, use the Shruti. Shruti means what? Uddalaka and his son Swetaketu. This is Chandogya Upanishad. And what does he say in this verse in Chandogya Upanishad? He says, O Saumya, O dear one, let me explain to you the concept of deep sleep. Uddalaka Aruni is the teacher. His own son is called as Swetaketu. And how does he explain to his son the nature of sleep? He says, when a person is said to be sleeping, he becomes one with the Sat existence. And he attains his real self. That is why people say about him, he is sleeping. He is then in his self. This is the proof. This verse, number 8, first verse of chapter 6, 8 section, first verse of Chandogya Upanishad. If you want to go into detail, please study this section. You can go to the internet and study this this section. You will come to know what is the sleep condition, what happens in sleep, and so on. Similarly, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there's a beautiful section there also, talking about how Yajnavalkya, the teacher, taught a student what happens in the sleep condition. But anyway, here if you see the sentence here, it says very, very clearly that we are with ourselves. So this is the proof. I am that pure being. This is revealed to us through the Chandogya Upanishad. I take this as the truth about myself. I don't ask anybody to anything else to anybody else. When the Guru teaches this, he is teaching the truth which is there in the scriptures. I accept, and when I accept that this is my real nature, I will get benefited. That is what it means. I don't need to say, and I don't have to tell the whole world about it. It is me who gets benefited because I know my nature, and I drop my identification with this body and with this mind as a Visesha Satta, as an attributed existence. I drop it. And then what do I hold on to? I hold on to that pure being, which was described in the 16th verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Same thing is described in the Chandogya Upanishad. I hold on to it as my real nature. So when a person sleeps, he does not become non-existent, but he withdraws into his pure nature called as Sat. Sat is a very important word in Vedanta, in the scriptures. Sat and Chit, two words. Let the meaning of those words sink in deeper and deeper into the mind. Many a times we first time listen to this Sat and Chit, we are never able to understand the meaning of these two words. But as we plod on, as we go deep, we go deeper and deeper into our study. Don't give up till you reach this highest goal of understanding the two principles of Sat and Chit. It is our own intellect which has to get convinced. The conviction happens through this reasoning, yukti pramanam, and also in understanding our anubhava. Swam apito bhavati. That is my nature. It is not my incidental nature, it is the intrinsic nature of mind. The Sat is the intrinsic. I use two words. Incidental is in the Jagrat, in the waking state, and in the dream state. And also you can say the sleep state. The three states belong to the incidental nature of the ego I. Throughout the day, we are living only with our ego I. We are not aware about the Sakshi I at all. Sakshi I is revealed to us through the scriptures. I have full faith in the scriptures. I accept Sakshi I as my intrinsic nature, and I become free from identification of the body and mind and the world as my real nature. I shift the attention. My intellect learns how to shift this identity to the higher I, which is the Sakshi I. Yukti Pramanam. So here, just before I conclude the Shruti, Upanishad does not say that the Jiva merges into non-existence. So this is what, you see, in many philosophers, if they don't believe in the Shruti and accept the Shruti as the main pramanam, they will all suffer. They will not be able to identify the truth. So Shankaracharya debates with the Madhyamika philosopher who says that the entire world has come from non-existence. So if the world had come from non-existence, pure, there is nothing in the world, suppose that is your belief, then the Shruti should have said that in the sleep we are only non-existent. But here the Shruti says you are with yourself, which is pure Sat. That means there is something else different than what our ego I is able to comprehend. So the yukti next, so this is what is called as Shruti Pramanam. We use, that means when we are studying the scriptures, we must always keep in mind three things before we come to a conclusion about who am I. What is the Shruti telling? What are the Vedas telling about me? Second, I use the logic of the Vedas. Don't use our own logic of rational intellect, because the rational intellect depends on the sense organs perception for coming to a logical conclusion. The Shruti has its own logical reasoning. So we follow the reasoning of the Shruti itself. And Anubhava. Anubhava means it's our experience every day. I go to sleep every day. Whether I like it or not, I go to sleep. My body goes to sleep. My mind goes to sleep. So I'm analyzing who am I in my three states, in the waking state, dream state, and the sleep state. This is going to be the real subject matter in our next study of Mandukya Upanishad. Yukti Pramanam, like it also says, where the science says there is a law of conservation of energy and matter. That means nothing is really created or destroyed. It is only a change of energy, which my eyes can't see. So when a pot gets destroyed, it goes in the form of, it goes back to its original cause, which is clay. When the body gets destroyed, it goes to its original cause, which is the 5 elements. The space in this body becomes one with the external space. The body, which is made up of minerals, goes back to the earth, the physical body. The water principle merges with the water. So it gets, see, the fire principle gets merged with the fire, the total fire principle in the universe. So the body is nothing else but a conglomerate. It is a putting together of the 5 elements. That is what we call it as the physical body. When the 5 elements come in some combinations, they become the body. If we break down our body, if we say all the bones, the flesh, the blood, everything boils down, ultimately we'll say it is all billions of cells which make this body. And ultimately they are inert. They will not know what they are. What is the principle in this body which knows I am, I know. I am existent, and I am conscious. That is what is the truth, which I am trying to realize. Which Lord Dakshinamurthy is trying to teach us in these 10 verses. I hold on to that. So the logic tells us that this is the verse I was quoting to you, the 2nd chapter, the 16th verse. Na sato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtontara. Whoever sees the truth behind both existence and non-existence, he is the one who knows the truth. One of the trickiest verses of the Bhagavad Gita. If you can understand this verse, you will understand the truth of your own being. Existence, I cannot become non-existent in Sushupti. That means the pure being I cannot become non-existent because it is always there. Existence means what? It is always there. Non-existence means what? It is never there. But what is this ego I? What is this body I? What is this mind I? It is neither existence. It is neither non-existence. It is the third category, which is called as mithya. Mithya is also called as anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya means you can't describe what it is, but it is there for appearance. Body, mind, ego is an appearance and it disappears. That's all is the revelation of the Shruti. But who is existent all the time? I, the consciousness, I, the Sat principle. Attributeless I is the existent I, eternal I. You can't even call it eternal because time principle itself is not there in that pure consciousness. Time is born in waking state. Time is resolved in Sushupti. The knower comes into the knower originates or comes into being in the waking state. The knower I. In the waking and in the dream, the knower I is born. So this is how we logically come to a conclusion about Atma. That there is an existent pure being which is the core of my nature, and the same pure consciousness existence is the nature of the entire universe. Sarvatma Bhava, that is the 10th verse. When we do that, you will understand that. That is where the oneness comes. So oneness, the Aikyam, the perfect knowledge, you will only realize when you analyze yourself and analyze the entire universe. Anubhava Pramana means Pratyabhijna. Pratyabhijna means recognition. Whenever we cognize an object for the first time, it is called as cognition, perception. When I recognize, that means it becomes a memory. I have experienced it. I am recognizing it. I know I am the pure being. I recognize it, recognize it in my sleep state. After waking up, I say I slept well. Who slept well? I recognize I was the one who was existent, who never slept. That is the Sakshi I, which was a witness to the sleeper I. The same sleeper I recognizes itself to be the waker I in the presence of Sakshi I. There is a Sakshi I which is never changing. It is a witness to the waking state. It is a witness to the dream state. It is a witness to the sleep state. So there was something which was not the waker, which was available, existent in the sleep state. There is, apart from the waker I, in the dream I, there is something else. The dreamer I is a relative state. Anyway, I will go into the depth of the three states when we discuss the Mandukya. So without the subject I can't use the verb I slept. Continuity is indicated by the word I slept. I slept means what? The ego I slept. Self-recognition is the proof of continuity in sleep. The same I which was there in the sleep is also there in the waking. Sakshi I is never changing. It is called as invariable in the three states. Prad apswapsam iti pratyabhijnayate. I am existent in three states as the Turiyam I, as the pure consciousness in all the three states of Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. It's a very beautiful verse. I'm going a little slow so that each one of us can go to the depth of this verse. You see, one can cover this verse in 10 minutes or can take 1 hour to cover this verse because this is so deep. because the intellect has to go and understand. As this verse is being described, each one of you can understand. You see, they say that during Shravanam, the realization happens. Who am I? It is not that you have to sit in meditation and then you will realize in meditation about your nature. Because what is revealing the nature is this scriptures, the words, the meaning of the words is ultimately is the revelation. So in short, in conclusion, during the waking and in dream, we have a localized existence which is referring to the body. And during sleep, we have the unlocalized existence, which is the Atma. Atma has got no location. Desha Kala Varjitaha in Sanskrit. Purnaha. Why is it called Purnaha? Purnaha means full, ever full. Because there is nothing else except that. That is why knowing the Atma, I become fulfilled. Oh, I am that pure consciousness in which even the time also is not there. Even there is no place, there is nothing. I am Purnaha. That is why we chant Purnaha mantra at the end of every lecture, every talk. We say Purnaha Purnamidam. I get reminded of my own nature, my full nature of pure consciousness, pure being. And in that, I'm guilt-free. Guilt-free means during the waking, I have got so many guilts. I didn't do that. I didn't do this. I did this. Hurt and guilt. I did this, therefore I feel bad. I didn't do this, I feel guilty. So this guilt, nothing is there in sleep. We are all very happy to go to sleep. And we are when we get up in the morning, we all feel we should sleep another hour more. Each one of us, it's our experience. Why do we all feel that we would like to sleep more? Because we are with our own nature. We're coming out of that pure nature and coming back into this world again of so many things. The differences get resolved. The undifferentiated condition is called as Sushupti. Prakriti, nature, has got differentiated condition, undifferentiated condition. The differentiated condition is called as the waking and dream. The undifferentiated condition is called as the unmanifest or sleep. In the undifferentiated condition of our own self, we are not available for any transaction. It looks as though it is emptiness, but it is not emptiness, but it is the unmanifest condition, potential condition from which the next Jagrata Avastha is going to come. This unmanifest condition happens either with this current body, or when the body goes, we go into unmanifest, the same unmanifest condition. What happens in death is nothing else but the same unmanifest condition. We go to the same potential condition. And again, we take another body. Another body we take because of the prarabdha karma, which is called as the Karana Shariram. Again, we take birth. Again, we experience the three states. Again, the cycle is going on and on and on, till we realize that I am not all this, I am that pure being. So Shankaracharya proves that the sleep state is not a state of nothingness, but it is a state of pure existence, pure consciousness. Tasmai, to that pure existence, which is the essential nature of all of us, when it gets revealed to me by my guru, this guru is not outside, but the guru is inside, because ultimately it is the Antaryami principle, which is the final teacher, which reveals the Atma to us. And that is what we call it as Dakshinamurthy or Lord Shiva. So this verse has got such a big depth of understanding the sleep state, like the eclipse which covers the sun or the moon. My own nature is covered by the sleep state, which is purely a tamasic attribute of the three gunas. Sleep is caused by tamas, which is Maya or the three gunas. Shankaracharya refutes the Asat Karyavada and establishes Sat Karyavada. Sat Karyavada, these are two words which are used in Mandukya Upanishad by Gautapada Acharya. When he analyzes the Mandukya Upanishad, he uses these two philosophers. Asat Karyavada means that there is nothing in the world. The whole world is coming out of nothingness, blankness. Sat Karyavada means there is Sat. There is pure existence. From pure existence, this whole world appears, and in that pure existence, the whole world resolves. These are two powerful theories. You can argue both positively and negatively under both the philosophies. And this analysis is what is taken in Mandukya Upanishad Karikas. Karikas means commentary. Shankaracharya's grand guru has written the commentary of this Mandukya Upanishad. So with this, we close the 6th verse. The first 4 verses are Tattvamasi teaching. And verse 5 and 6 are the refutation of other philosophers. In Tattvamasi, what we understood was that there is one entity. We all take ourselves to be the subject and the world to be object. This is a natural aberration which happens due to the sense organs, perception of the world. When the pure consciousness gets reflected in my mind, I have this aberration that I am different, the world is different. When the pure consciousness in my mind gets resolved in the sleep state, this aberration is gone. And I realize my own nature as that pure being. In the first 4 verses, Tat means that that Paramatma principle, which is responsible for this entire creation, the essential nature of that is Sat. Ishvara's nature is pure existence. The Jiva's nature is pure consciousness. And in the 3rd verse, they said that the Sat and the Chit is the same. That is called as the identity between me and the Paramatma. And the nature of this consciousness was beautifully explained in the 4th verse, Nana Chit Ghato Darastitamaha. This consciousness, I repeat, is self-evident. Do not search for this consciousness. When you search for this consciousness, you are making it as an object. You are defeating the purpose of realizing the self. You're converting something which is not an object. You're trying to make it an object. When you sit in meditation and say, I am going to see the light of consciousness. Don't ever try to do that, because what you have to do is not make the light as an object. Say, I am that pure light. Everything else, in whatever I experience in the waking dream and in the sleep state, is an object of this consciousness. When you do that, 100% be sure you will realize the self. That is the tip. Claim it, don't claim it as an object, claim it as the subject. I am this pure consciousness. Aham Brahmasmi. The Upanishads are trying to reveal my nature. So I only say I am the light of all lights. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam. That light in which I see this entire experience. See means what? I experience, I see. The eyes are seeing, the ears are hearing, all because of this light which is getting revealed through Lord Dakshinamurthy in these slokas. And in verse 5 and 6, which we have just completed, what it says is that people who take the body, charvakas, I am the body, I will live and I will live merrily. I don't care what happens. Is there a soul in the body? I don't care. What happens after death? I don't care. That is what is called as the delusion. People think they are the prana. People think they are the sense organs. People think they are blankness. People think they are the thoughts in the mind. All these people are deluded. The only one who is not deluded is a person who bows down to Lord Dakshinamurthy for the teaching and goes through these verses and claims that as the ultimate truth. Verse number 7 to 10 is a reassertion of Vedanta, which was taught in the first 4 verses. Balya dishwapi jagradadishu tatha sarvastva sasvaswapi vyavrittasvanu vartamanamaham ityanta swarantam sada. Swatmanam prakati karoti bhajatam yo mudraya bhadraya tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. I'll just introduce this verse. We will study this verse more deeply in the next session. Here, very important aspect of Vedanta is revealed. That is, that there is a persistence of Sakshi in all our stages of life. Whether it is childhood, whether it is boyhood, whether it is youth, whether it is old age, you may be 75 years old and listening to this talk. The age belongs to the body, it does not belong to consciousness. Knowing this consciousness as our real nature, whether you are 75, whether you are 12 years old, you will get liberation when you understand your consciousness. Whether you're from Africa, whether you're from Brazil, whether you're from Portugal, doesn't matter. Because ultimately the consciousness is the same in all bodies. Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, 3rd verse. Kshetraknyam chapi mam vidhi. Always remember how to connect the Bhagavad Gita. You study so many texts. Aproksha Anubhuti, many verses are there revealing the same Atma. How can you get deluded? In Aproksha Anubhuti, we have studied the text. It says that author says, how can you take yourself as the body? How can you equate the body which is inert to be yourself? You are a sentient principle. You are a knowing principle. You know the world. And what is that knower? That knower is nothing else but this consciousness. This is how, and this consciousness does not change in different ages. At 50, at 40, at 60, you are the same consciousness. And how is this revealed by by Lord Dakshinamurthy through the Nyana Mudra. I will show you the picture. You can see the notes. You will see the Nyana Mudra picture. This is the Nyana Mudra. What these three fingers represent, we will study next week. But this is the Nyana Mudra. You can find it in Lord Dakshinamurthy's picture. And what does the three mudra, what does that mudra? Mudra means it is only a symbol. It's a sign. We all say, I am fine, by showing our thumb to others. I am fine. So it's a mudra. So similarly, Lord wants to convey who you are. How does he convey? Through the three fingers. Three fingers stand for the three states. You are not that. What you are is one with Ishvara. So that is what is being revealed in the 7th verse, which we'll do next week. It is just restating what is the Atma Swarupam. It is not the Deha, it is not the Prana, it is not the Indriya. It is that knowing principle. When you say, I know the world, I know my body, the knowing consciousness is the Chit, is what is revealed by Lord Dakshinamurthy. Tomorrow being Shivaratri, I wish you all a very happy celebration of Shivaratri. We are studying the same text of Lord Shiva in these Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Before I end, there's just a small one announcement. The announcement is that next Saturday, there is a new class which is being started for those who want to learn the Bhagavad Gita to chant. I have circulated the joining form by WhatsApp. So if you are interested to learn Bhagavad Gita, how to chant, you can try the class for 1 or 2 sessions. And if you like it, you can continue. Right from chapter 1, right from Dhyana Shlokas, an attempt is being made to teach people how to chant the Bhagavad Gita. So if you are interested, you can fill up the form and send it. And so this will be on Saturdays. The details are already sent by WhatsApp. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamathaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Is there any questions which any of the anybody would like to ask? You can. I've asked Shanmugam to unmute everybody. So if you have a question, you can ask me now.
Good evening, Shekharji.
Sandeep, yeah, tell me.
So Shekharji, I have a couple of things. So generally, right, like whenever someone reads this text for the first time, there would be some confusion with respect to the eclipse, right? Because eclipse happens when there is a envisioned cosmic snake called Rahu, which covers the sun, right? So can you just more explain, because sun cannot be covered, right? Like when it is from our perspective, we might feel that sun is covered.
Yes.
But exactly, sun is not covered with the envisioned snake, right?
Correct. So that is the same thing which Lord Dakshinamurthy is teaching us, that our nature of pure Atma actually cannot be covered. Like the sun cannot be covered. So what is the covering is that Rahu. Rahu means it is a shadow which is falling. In the case of the sun, the shadow falls on the sun, it falls on the moon, and the shadow is covering the sun or the moon. In our case, it is the Maya, the tamas quality in this body. The body is made up of 5 elements. The 5 elements have come from Maya Shakti, Maya principle. The origin of the 5 elements is this Maya. And Maya consists of 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. This is how the scriptures teach us why we are not able to realize that I am that pure consciousness. So this verse is, you take the example of the eclipse, and you only, if only what you need to understand is, like the sun gets covered, my own nature gets covered, and what reveals this is ultimately there is an inner principle in all of us. And that principle is this pure consciousness. It reveals itself. It reveals itself means what? When I get the purity of mind, when I study the scriptures again and again, my mind, which is got the tendency to go outside and experience the world, learns how to withdraw its attention into itself. When the mind understands itself to be a non-mind, that is when the Atma gets revealed to the ego eye. That is the principle, that is the process of revelation which happens, which Shankaracharya is only comparing to the eclipse as a phenomena. It's a natural phenomena happening outside. The same phenomena happening inside our mind is what Shankaracharya is comparing. When you are listening to it for the first time, you just listen, understand that there is some truth getting revealed. As I study this more and more, I will know my real nature as this pure consciousness.
Okay.
This is
so
how,
second question.
yeah, this is how we should understand the example and also understand what the objective of revelation is. The human mind is not able to grasp these teachings 100%. You may grasp it 30%, 40%, depending on our own depth of the mind. But believe me, when you listen to this after 5 years, you will see a difference in yourself. The same Dakshinamurthy Stotram which you hear today, when you listen after 5 years, you will find a difference. There are many people who are listening today, they have listened to the same talk maybe 3-4 times, maybe 10 times. But every time they listen, they come back and tell me, yes, I can understand the depth. See, this depth is something which happens to each one of us in our own intellect.
Correct. So second question, Shekharji. So ignorance, right? Ignorance is not real. So do you agree with it?
Yes, ignorance is not real. It is mithya. It doesn't exist. What really exists is only Atma, which is why it is called as Satyam.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking this question is because, see, when we talk about ignorance, the same thing lies with the knowledge, right? Knowledge is also not real, right? When we are talking about the same order of reality.
No,
right?
It is not the same order of reality. Knowledge is only, okay, you can put the same order of reality if it is a Vyavaharika knowledge. You see, with reference to the body and the mind, there is ignorance and there is knowledge. This is at one plane of consciousness. But what we are talking about is a higher plane of consciousness, from where if you look at this waking state, then this becomes a lower order.
Yeah, that's what, right? This all the knowledge, what I'm trying to say is the bondage, the liberation, and the heaven and hell. All these are delusions, right? That's
Yes,
what I'm
it is
trying to.
all delusions. You're right.
Yeah,
Yes, they
because
are
a
all
lot of people.
delusions, but they are all at a lower level. The Satyam knowledge is this pure knowledge. I hold on to the Satyam. Like the waker, you see, today the waker, what happens to the dream? He had a dream and it's gone. So he takes the dream as almost non-existent. So
Correct.
what happens to the individual when he wakes up to his real nature? He says, I am that pure consciousness. Whatever I experienced, my body, my mind, my sense organs, the money I earned, the money in my bank account, the properties I owned, all that becomes mithya. All, everything.
Yeah.
That is
Only,
not
only.
meditation. You see, that
Correct. Correct.
when this happens, it is not at the same level as the Vyavaharika level. It is at a different level. It is at the Paramarthika level.
Correct. Correct. Exactly. And one more thing is, actually, I have one question. So, I mean, this is not question. This is just my understanding. Sixth one, right? The sixth verse talks about Avarana Shakti. Okay.
Yes.
And it's not like it's very early to say that that I mean, it's like Sushupti. The sixth verse talks about Sushupti,
Yes.
but whereas the eighth verse talks about the two other states, which is the waking state as well as the dream state, right?
Yeah.
So my question is why? I mean, like it's it's very insane to ask this question. Why did the verse was not placed next to this verse? Why it was placed after seventh verse actually? So is there any logic behind that of
No,
why
here,
this verse?
see, what we are, the logic is, you see, in the fifth verse, it was taught that there were different philosophers.
Okay.
And one of the philosophers is the Madhyamika Buddhism, which talks about Shunyavada. In those times of Shankaracharya, there was one school of thought which is called as Shunyavada. Shunyavada means blankness. What they believed was at that time, during Shankaracharya's time. Today it is a different story altogether. Today nobody believes in all this. There's a different school of thought. It's a world of WhatsApp and mobile and internet and all that. It's a different world.
Okay.
So in that time, in this, the different philosophers in the fifth verse, what it was said is all those people were deluded. Prana, who took the body as themselves, the breath as themselves, the mind as themselves. The mind, see, these were all the wrong theories which existed. So in the sixth verse, Shankaracharya refutes the one philosophy, the ultimate philosopher. According to those, the fifth verse, the Shunyavadi was the highest, who said that the world is nothing. Everything is coming from nothingness. The whole world is going to go back to nothing. This was a this is called as Prathama Malla Nyaya. Now he had defeated body, the people who took themselves as the body and all that, he refuted. If you go through the theory of these philosophers in detail, in the Brahma Sutra and in Mandukya Upanishad, this particular aspect is discussed in much more detail. There is one full chapter called as Vaisatya Prakaranam in Mandukya Upanishad. It is taken up. So, Shunyavada, the blank, that means when you go to sleep, everything is blank. So, there is one school of philosophers who thought that this whole world is only coming from this blankness. So, what happened was, in the sixth verse, Shankaracharya defeats this. He says, how can you say this blankness you're talking about is exactly like the eclipse where you say that the sun doesn't exist anymore?
Correct, exactly.
So now you understand the significance of this verse. And now after this, now he's coming back and in the seventh verse, he will come back and say, again, go back to the original theory that there is Atma, which is always present. That is what is called as the invariable state.
Okay, so he's just putting he's just putting a firm belief in all the readers.
That's correct. Again, he comes back to Vedanta in the 7th verse,
okay.
7 to 10. He'll come back and say, yes, ultimately there is one reality.
Okay. Thank you, Shekhar.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, Vijay, you need to ask. Can you ask a question now, Vijay?
Yeah, if I'm allowed, because it's almost past.
No. Go ahead. It's okay.
Thank you very much, Hari Om, Jai Shri Krishna. Beautiful session, and I think in this case, though you say Shravana is important for Jnana, I believe Manana is more important.
Yeah, I agree. For each one of us, I stress on Shravana because many of us have not done Shravana itself more.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I think all of them are related. I would relate to one PPT where you said you were describing about Jagrat Swapna being attributed I and Sushupti being attributed I.
Yeah.
Wherein in the first aspect you said attributed I, others know I am there. Attributeless I, others don't know I am there.
Yes.
So I'm not questioning you. I think is my understanding right? Because in Sushupti, it's a nature of I don't know. I mean, that's the stage of Sushupti. Because
but that is for a Ajnani.
Yeah, it's a Ajnana Avarana state. Yes.
For Ajnani, that state is not known. So for him, it is I am also sleeping. That's it.
Correct. Suppose if I'm taking it from the perspective of Jnani,
yes,
it's not the Sushupti. It will be Turiyam, isn't it?
It will be Turiyam. 100% you are right. For a Jnani, there is no sleep state at all.
Correct.
It is all Maya for him. It's all Maya. Everything is Maya. Therefore, for a Jnani, there is no Sushupti. That is why the Jnani never sleeps. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a 2nd chapter where it says, the Jnani, for a Jnani, the day is night and night is day.
Correct. Correct.
You bring back that verse of understanding here.
Yeah. So my question here was, when he mentioned Sushupti, I had the similar doubt. Should I understand this verse from the ego resolved realized man or ego unresolved Ajnani? So you gave me a clarification. That's great. Now, second thing you said that in the Sushupti, the Vikshepa is absolved.
Yes.
Avarana is still there.
Yes.
So
for a Jiva, for a Ajnani Jiva.
Yeah. So I am actually took the whole set of words today from a perspective of only a Ajnani. That means a non-realized. That means whose ego is not being resolved.
Yes.
And hence, my questions are actually guided through that perspective. I would understand now and probably have to reframe this. But still, because I've written it down, I would like to ask as an ignorant knower, seeker. So can I say that because Vikshepa Shakti is drawn, obviously there is no superimposition in these cases. Right? The Vikshepa power enables us to experience, to exhaust or bear our prarabdha.
Yeah.
It's probably in the deep sleep state where my experiences are not there because my Vikshepa doesn't work, because my senses, mind, buddhi, all are withdrawn.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why to that extent, prarabdha, I can't. So that's the reason next day morning I have to get up.
Yes.
As a pull of karma to be able to put into the chakra of prarabdha.
Yeah.
Right? So that is how I am supposed to understand this verse here.
Yes.
Okay. Now the second question, or maybe...
There I want to add one more thing.
Yes.
Up to this, you are right. How do you become a Jnani? Okay, this is still, you are at the Agyani level, your analysis is perfect, you are correct. How do you remove this? How does a Jnani understand this saying? You see, for a Jnani, this ignorance is also an object of consciousness. You see, this ignorance, up to ignorance, if you have analyzed, you have exactly perfectly analyzed up from the level of a Ajnani. But I'm going one step further. Just how do you see the same thing? How do you become a jnani? You become a jnani only when you know that my sleep state is a state of Akyanam, and this Akyanam is also superimposed on Atma. Like you are saying, my body and mind is superimposed. It is resolved condition. The jnani understands that it is this is the Akyanam I am having since so many lives. And through this Dakshinamurthy, I am getting this revelation that this Akyanam, which I thought was sleep. Every day I think that I'm going to sleep. No, you're not going to sleep. You're sleeping you're sleeping to your real nature. Wake up from this ignorance. This is this realization. This is where our attention in your meditation, you said contemplation, right? Contemplate on this particular point. When you contemplate, immediately you will clear your ignorance. Oh my God, this is also an object of consciousness. If this is an object of consciousness, then I know what is consciousness. See, in the sleep state, we as Ajnani, we think we are just resting. Body is resting and we don't even think, we don't even bother. But when we get this knowledge from the scriptures that it is the state of Ajnanam, what happens is I question myself. I challenge myself. I say, what is this sleep state? There is nothing called a sleep state. I am always free. This is where the freedom, the moksha comes in here. You claim that I am free in my nature as in Sushupti. That is why you should always understand that Prakriti means manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. Body is Prakriti, Kshetram. Kshetram in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord makes it very clear. He says Kshetra means there are two nature of Kshetram, two states of Prakriti. Manifest, unmanifest. Vyaktam, Avyaktam. Vyaktam, Avyaktam. Vyaktam and Avyaktam both belong to Maya. I am not this Vyaktam or Avyaktam. I am the pure consciousness. This is the light of all the lights. This is the pure being. This is my real nature. Anytime you have confusion about yourself, when this gets revealed to you, hold on to this truth. You have gone very deep in your analysis up to this point of Akyanam. Now I'm telling you, just cross that Akyanam. That's all. And you're free. Forever. Not today. Anytime anybody talks about anything, your intellect will always get convinced, I am that, I am that, I am that. Whatever you experience is all object of consciousness. I am talking about the subject. Don't make the subject into an object and say that I'm going to see consciousness. I'm going to know that. The moment you say, I want to know that, you are making it as an object. Just claim, I am that pure consciousness, and forget about whatever is that consciousness. Let it remain and let that be myself.
Thank you very much, Shekharji. Amazing. I have one more ignorant question again.
Go ahead, yeah.
See, when we talk about the Triputi, Triputi is that Prameya, Pramana, Pramita. This all is nothing but the reflection, the Chit Abhasa because of the mind.
Correct.
In this condition which we talked about, right, in the Samanya Satta state where the mind resolves, we can actually say Triputi dissolves.
Yeah, Triputi resolves. That's it. When the Triputi resolves, you are the self. That's it.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Now I want you, I do not know if you are able to help me today or not, but I want to reflect this with the 207th verse of Viveka Chudamani, which says, Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanur Vrittis Tamor Vijrumbita. It only says that the fifth sheath is the Anandamaya Kosha, the blissful sheath, the reflection of the real blissful, but it is reflected in the tamas quality. See, this is the Nidra Avastha, right, which I have.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was saying, that but the sleep is nothing but tamas. It is the tamas of the Maya Shakti.
Mm.
And in this Maya Shakti, Ananda, this is what, when that reflection is getting, this is what I was saying, that this ignorance is also a superimposition.
Mm.
It is also a reflection. So all of us in our sleep state, we experience Ananda, we experience Sukham. All of us, whether you, me, everybody experiences happiness in sleep state. Why do we experience happiness? Because the subject, object, and the instrument, all three are resolved. When three are resolved, it can happen even in the waking state. What do people in Samadhi do? They try to resolve the three things in waking state. They just sit down in Samadhi state, and all the yogis, they try to resolve the subject, object, and instrument, and they say, I am experiencing Samadhi. What happens naturally in sleep, they try to do it in the waking state.
Waking stage.
So what you are saying is, you drop these three, you're in Vivek Chudamani, what Shankaracharya is explaining there is Anandamaya Chumbita. Chumbita means that is the reflection.
Mm.
That you are experiencing your own self in the Karana Shariram. When the Karana Shariram is there and the reflection of consciousness falls in the Karana Shariram, it is Ananda. But that is also a kosha. It is a dress.
Anatma. Mm.
It is anatma. Drop it. Drop it as anatma. Move forward. Move forward and own that consciousness as the real self. Then what happens is, you will then claim Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mai Sarvam Pratishthidam. Mai Sarvam Layam Yati. That is the Brahman I am. This is the essence of the five koshas. When they are dropped, you are in the lap of Atma. You are one with that Lord Shiva. I am that pure consciousness, the auspiciousness, which Lord Shiva represents in the universe. Mandukya Upanishad, na anta prajna, na pahish prajnam, all that, all the revelations of the scriptures. Even Vivek Chudamani talks about the same Atma in so many verses. So please continue your study on Vivek Chudamani. It's very, very beautiful.
That's nice.
Your analysis, what you're doing is shows the depth of your understanding of the scriptures. Very well done. Very good.
If Triputi happens in ignorance state, it is like a sleep. It's like an Anandamaya person. And Triputi happens in a waking state, is an enlightenment.
Okay, enlightenment, yes, but together you must hold on to the scriptures and say that I am the one where the Triputi is getting resolved. That is me. You have to hold on to that.
It should be continuous, yeah.
Yeah, you see, there is a locus at which point the Triputi gets resolved. That locus is me.
Yeah.
And in that locus, there is no time, there is no space, there is no objects. That locus is my real nature. Very good. It's a good reflection. Anybody else has any question?
Sorry, Shekhar ji.
Yeah.
In that extent, even for me, Samadhi also is only a partial experience, because there is always a fall from the state of Samadhi.
Yes, that's why Vedanta clearly says, don't run after Samadhi. Don't really.
Vivek Chudamani, it says the same thing. You're right. Yeah.
Yes, Vivek Chudamani clearly says, don't run after Samadhi state, because it's again only a state of experience. Nothing else. It is just a state of mind, nothing else. Where the no thoughts, chitta vritti nirodha. That means when there are no thoughts, you are in the state of Samadhi. But it is a state, it's a deliberate state you are trying to create in your waking state. Don't sit in meditation for Samadhi. sit in meditation to claim Atma. That is what is Vedantic meditation. And you can do Vedantic meditation very easily once you have got this depth of knowledge. Let the mind run through this depth of Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Each verse of the Dakshinamurthy Stotram can be meditated. And that, when you meditate on the Dakshinamurthy Stotram, you'll realize the same, what Triputi we are discussing now, the same thing gets resolved. In your mind, that is what it is.
Thank you. Thank you. And sorry for taking time.
No problem. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate all the discussions we had. Hopefully, either next week or the following week, we'll finish the Dakshinamurthy. And then we will see the Mandukya Upanishad. And Shama, you have a question. Do you want to ask? Is spiritual understanding and intellectual understanding same? Is intellectual understanding Taman?
Sorry, that should be, I'm slightly dyslexic. There should be Atman and Anatman.
Okay, can you ask the question?
Yeah, so basically really what I want to understand is that it's just this intellectual understanding of what is what. Atman, Anatman, Panchkoshas, the three states and everything. Is that good enough, or are we still limited by our prarabdha? For example, if it's my prarabdha that despite my best effort, I will not get realization in this life.
No, it's not true.
No?
No, it's not true. The prarabdha is only at the level of anatma, at the level of body and mind. That's all.
Well, that's very inspiring.
Yeah, prarabdha can affect only anatma. It cannot touch atma. Atma is pure knowledge. You can realize it in any at any time, at any second. You can realize your atma has got nothing to do with prarabdha. So don't say that I haven't come up to the level of atma because of my prarabdha. That's an excuse given by your intellect.
No, it's a doubt. It's a doubt. I was thinking that I might put it, because quite often it happens that you're putting in so much effort. And one day your spiritual moods are that high. Another day it is down. And you think, God, this doesn't make sense.
No, the only thing is you just go through the chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. You will understand the mood of the mind.
All gunas. Yeah.
Okay.
The three gunas, I'm taking that talk on Saturday evening. If you don't get time to listen and come at that time, just this Saturday, I'm doing the 13th chapter. I will be doing the 14th chapter after some time, maybe after 2 months.
Okay.
So when we do the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, please listen to it, the three gunas, or you can just listen to any Swamiji also.
The reason why I asked this, that after an intellectual understanding or spiritual understanding, which I think at certain stage probably it's the same thing, and having done enough of nididhyasana and the manana over it, your mind and the heart, they are exactly in the same place, very aligned. You know, there is, like in the Vedanta, the mind is actually at the heart place.
Yeah.
So your bhava is exactly the same as where your mind is. Yeah? I've often prayed for why the mind cannot be where my heart wants to be. This is my prayer. Let my mind be where my heart wants to be, because I know where my heart is, but I just want that the mind should be exactly at the same place.
Yeah, you see, Shama, the only one thing you should realize is, okay, you have put the efforts of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, you're still doing the study, but many people have the same question like you. After 20 years, 25 years of study, I have many people, not only with my experience here, but many Swamijis also are dumbfounded, because even brahmacharis who have done the course of 2-year Vedanta course and who have become Swamijis also, they are also in the same boat like you and me.
This is why I was asking that, are we somewhere limited by the prarabdha? There must be, because there's no other logical answer.
No, you see, it is not the prarabdha, but it is, we have to understand that our nature is beyond the body. The body is related to prarabdha. But I am realizing what is beyond my body, which is always there, which is, see, you, before even prarabdha came into being, this consciousness has been there. Sadeva Soumya, this consciousness is a different level of experience, or what I would say is, it's not even experience, it's a different level of understanding of our nature. Like a baker, you see, as long, okay, this is what is described in the Vichara Sagara. You see, we feel that we are in the waking state and we are putting all the efforts. But if I tell you, this waking itself is a dream. Exactly like you take a dream, all the efforts you have put in, suppose I ask you all the efforts you put in a dream yesterday night, what happened to it when you woke up? All vanished. The same thing happens when you realize the nature of Atma. The waking itself, all the efforts, the whole efforts of studying, all this is Maya, is Maya Shakti. It is a power. Don't get dejected. Just understand that all these experiences you are going through of study, nidhyasnam, all this analysis of prarabdha, analysis of triputi, all this is only Shakti, a power in the mind.
So ultimately it is boiling around to the state of Vairagya and Abhyasa. So yes. Vairagya from my anatma state, yes. I'm not there.
Yes.
And then on top of it, the Vairagyam state, which I can sort of appreciate, that is a beautiful state to be in. The Abhyasa still needs to continue, go on and on.
Yes.
Until one realizes.
Yes. Let it continue. Let it. Don't feel defeated. Don't feel dejected. Don't feel frustrated. Just say, I will continue the study. When I get realized it's not under my hands, there is some power which will take me out of this level of understanding.
And then Shekharji does not see me in his class.
No, not to see you. It is a natural phenomena happening in the universe. You see, like the sun is rising, right? Yeah. Every day the sun rises. Every day I go through the experiences. Liberation also happens like that. Yeah. Moksha is an effort till you realize the self. It is self-effort. Like you have artha and kama, for which you put effort. Self-effort is required for artha. That means to gain wealth, you need to put self-effort. To live in a dharmic way, you need to put self-effort. To have desireful experiences of entertainment, pleasures, you need to put self-effort. So similarly for liberation, you have to just put effort. The result is not in our hands, it is in somebody else's hands. Leave it to it.
That is where the problem is.
Yeah, till then you can go through the law of karma and you can give that reasoning to your own mind and say it is all law of karma. Yes, but say at the end, it is not in my hands. There is some power which is keeping this body alive.
Yeah, wonderful. I should not want to keep you long. Yeah.
No, but this is the power of Lord Shiva. This is the auspicious power. It is that Shivratri is celebrated because our energies are lifted to that level of consciousness on that particular day. It is a natural phenomena which happens on a Shivratri night.
Wonderful. What a great day.
It's a natural. See, you and I are discussing this today before Shivratri.
Wonderful.
Our minds are getting pulled up to that
It's
level.
getting evolved.
Yeah.
It's an evolution of the mind. It's an energy which is pulling us up to that level of Shiva.
Yeah.
On the Shivratri day, on the Shivratri night, what happens is that level of energy, the level goes up to a totally different field.
It's just tuning into
It's
that.
a tuning. And all we are trying is putting effort. That is why it is called as a Purushartha.
Correct.
This is
Okay.
Jacqueline.
Thank you and good night, everybody.
This is Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is Jacqueline. Mr.
Oh,
Hey,
and I haven't heard
yes,
Jacqueline for a long time.
Hi. No.
Hi.
Hi. This is very interesting, Shama. And to me, I always remember what Mr. Shekhar said.
Yeah.
Treat it as you are in the sleep. And to me now, I put it when when I'm in the sleep, every day I wake up. So that is the force that is pushing me to wake up. And as long as I'm waking up, I just forget about everything else. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. See, there's some force which is beyond our senses.
Funnily enough, Jacqueline, sometimes I get woken up at a time where it's not suitable, like 2 o'clock in the night, come on, get up and meditate. And I think, come on, go away.
No, to me, like the example, there's a challenges, to me now I say, okay, tomorrow I'm still waking up, right? Okay, that's all. Go on, whatever it is. I'm just listening to Mr. Shekhar and I'm in the sleep state.
All right. Okay.
Wonderful. Take care, Jacqueline.
Okay,
Nice to hear you.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Shekharji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Om Shekharji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Thank you.